and welcome to Engage Chesterfield. I'm Amy Bartolotti with the Office of Family and Community Engagement. Today we're going to be talking to Hope Murphy, coordinator for the School Social Work Services, about suicide prevention. Thanks, Hope, for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
Suicide awareness is a topic that is really hard to talk about sometimes, but it's very important. As a parent or someone that is working with a child, there's so many myths and around suicide and suicide prevention. Is there anything that you could share with us?
Yes, absolutely. So one myth that you hear a lot is that teenagers are just moody, that they can't really have real depression. And that is a myth, because depression can affect anyone of any age, of any economic group or race or ethnicity. And just like any illness, it can impact people who really seem to have it all, but it can still impact anyone. And unfortunately, among teenagers, studies do show that the rates of depression among adolescents is rising. In 2004, 8.1% of adolescents showed signs of depression, and in 2014, it had risen to 11.3%. However, it's important to remember that depression is a treatable condition. 90% of youth who die by suicide have a treatable mental health disorder.
That is kind of scary statistics,
yeah.
right?
And another myth is that if we talk about suicide, that it could give someone the idea of dying by suicide, and that's not true at all. In fact, the opposite is true, that if someone is depressed and they're thinking about dying by suicide, bringing up the topic is one of the most helpful things that you can do.
As a parent or a caregiver, are there any warning signs that I need to be aware of or that I should be, looking out for?
Yeah, absolutely. So warning signs, one of the biggest warning signs is when a parent notices significant changes in their child. For example, changes in actions or feelings. I'll give some examples of those. So if a child is all of a sudden just withdrawing from activities that they normally enjoy, or that they have a change in friends and they're withdrawing from their friends, that can be a warning sign. Another is that they start giving away things to friends, or making statements even that the world would be a better place without them, or I wish I were dead. Things like that are significant warning signs. Also, if a child suddenly becomes kind of focused on the topic of suicide or the topic of death, that can be significant, as well as just changes in personality or eating habits or sleeping habits. Those are all significant. Another thing is that if there's a major change in a child's life, something that's beyond their control, for example, someone close to them passes away suddenly, or they get into large trouble in the community or at school, those kinds of things can actually have someone with depression start thinking about suicide, that they feel like there's no other options.
Well, what is Chesterfield County Public Schools doing to help prevent or educate us around suicide prevention?
Yeah, so in our schools, we are rolling out a curriculum. It's called Signs of Suicide, and it is for our 7th and 10th graders. It's taught by Student Support Services staff, and it's a 1-hour lesson. And in that lesson, we are teaching our students about a lot of what I've talked about today, about what some warning signs are that they should consider and look for in their friends. And it also teaches them about what to do if they're concerned about a friend. It has videos with scenarios of teens interacting where one of the teens is considering suicide and is showing signs of depression, and it models for teenagers what to do if they're concerned about a friend. It teaches for for the teenager to really acknowledge their friends' feelings and to show them how much they care about them and tell a trusted adult. For parents, a resource is to really keep in mind that there are quite a few avenues to secure mental health treatment if you're concerned about your child's mental health. The first one is to go through private insurance and to call insurance and ask about mental health therapists that work with adolescents in your area. The second avenue, if a child has Medicaid or is uninsured, then a great opportunity would be to go to Chesterfield Mental Health. And I'm going to go ahead and give a couple phone numbers. So the phone number for Chesterfield Mental Health is 768-7318. And there they do an intake the same day that you go in, and you leave with an appointment for your child with a therapist. Another resource is that if there's a parent who is concerned that their child is possibly considering suicide, then it's very important to reach out for help immediately. It's good to call Chesterfield Mental Health Crisis Department, and I'm going to go ahead and give their number. It is 748-6356. And it's good to call and talk to the professionals there. There's also a national suicide prevention hotline, and that number is 1-800-273-TALK.
Thank you so much. There's a resource or an event, a resource fair coming up with in conjunction with the PTA soon. Could you tell us about that, please?
Yes, it's this upcoming Monday. It's October 9th. It's 7 to 8 p.m. It's open to anyone. It is being hosted by the PTA for Chesterfield County. And the topics will be some of what I talked about today, warning signs and risk factors, as well as how to open up this tough conversation with your child, and resources in Chesterfield County.
Thank you so much. Thanks, Hope, for your expertise and your service to our students and their families. And thank you for joining us on Engage Chesterfield.